and welcome to Who Does Rolls. Now, this video would have been out earlier because I filmed a whole segment of it, including me having a rant about having to clean my dog's bottom. But that's all lost to time now. But it was an experience. Anyway, so that should have all happened. Filmed all that, and then of course, an inanimate fucking object decided to just suddenly die, which was the memory card in the camera. Which just as soon as I took it out, it was like, oh no, I'm not working anymore, because clearly there's moving parts and stuff that could go wrong in one of those that causes it to fucking stop working when you've done that. Anyway. Rant over. So that happened. So we're back. I'm doing all this again. I'm sure with more nuance and interest and less dog ass cleaning. But there we go. So, hello. Welcome to Who Does Rolls. This is Mumble Jumbo for January, the very end of January, in fact. The stuttering vinegar strokes of January. And we're moving now into February. So far, 2023 has proven to be an absolute shit. So that's been good, but you know what, we're off to the races. We're doing some stuff. I'm going to cover some bits and pieces going forward, so we're going to do some what's played, which would be very exciting. We're looking at Frostpunk, and we're going to be looking at Frosthaven. A lot of frostiness going on there, and some other little odds and sods. Going to be looking at my birthday presents, because it was my birthday about a week ago now. Which this video would have been more concurrent to that, but it fucked up, didn't it? So yes, I'm going to look at some of my birthday presents, which is quite nice, and do some other stuff. So there we go. So let's do the played. What have I played? I've left my fizzy pop over there. Played then. So played, now I'm going to kind of step back, because when I did the last play, it was very fresh in my mind. Now not so fresh. But anyway, we played Frostpunk again. Frostpunk, based on the video game thing made by, I think, 8-Bit Studios, I want to say. But the essential idea is post-apocalyptic. We covered all this last week. You've got a big burner in the middle and there's stuff going on around it. It's a kind of This War of Mine feel. There's lots of social choices that you're making throughout the game, which affect the mood and everything else of your colony. So first game we played of it, it went on very long, and we died, and it was quite punishing, and there's an awful lot going on. It's quite a heavier Euro game. So we played the second game of it, obviously fresher. Stupidly out the gate, we decided to give Bob the same sheet and same stats as last time. It was mildly better, but we still had to deal with him playing everything we needed to play, but not necessarily in the correct order, which was quite awful. Pardon me. So that happened. Anyway, that's all that aside. What is Frostpunk is, and I said it before, and we had a lot better, longer game. Again, it went long. It was past midnight by the time we finished. We did die again, though we did better. It is a fantastic board game version of Frostpunk. I think it captures everything that the video game does. It's got that feel of that game. It plays like the game. It has the thematic underpinning and story going on there of this colony. And I think if it's something that you got the time for, it's a kind of sort of settle down Sunday afternoon type game. You know, you start at lunchtime and you have this leisurely, awful journey. I mean, it is this War of Mine light in that it's not a joyful tale. There is no joy in this. It's quite bleak. It's quite depressing. But the actual journey you're going on of this colony and trying to beat the game is fascinating. And it is a bang-on job of simulating the video game. I think it's absolutely a faultless version of that. And the presentation is fantastic. It all works. Yes, it's busy. Yes, there's a lot of mechanisms to it. It's heavy aside. This is the problem you come down to. Somebody who really enjoys the Frostpunk game and has never played a ball game, if they were to venture into this, would run screaming to the hills, because it's a monstrous thing set up. There's multiple sheets, as Isaiah references stuff. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Once you've played it through, and where it sensibly breaks the management of those areas off around the table, it's manageable, and there's a lot going on, but you can, if you play your games and you know your stuff, you will get it. If you're going in knowing what you're getting into, you'll be fine. There's a lot of stuff that we've not even touched on. I mean, there's loads of these story cards, which I say it uses that Robinson Crusoe mechanism of you make a choice and the card goes in the deck, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And all the choices, either the lords or the other stuff you're doing, is that it's coming back and bite you in the ass, and invariably it's not going to be good. So yeah, that was all very cool. So where am I at on it? Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a fabulous version of that. If you love Frostpunk and you wanted the board game version of it, this is it. It is exactly that. Caveats to that are, number one, it's fucking expensive. Number two, it's heavy. There's a lot going on, and it's a very long play. It is something you're settling down for the afternoon, and I think that. I know Ben has echoed when I spoke to him the other day about Cabin Con when it happens, which is a little con, like a kind of group of friends go and play for a weekend, 3 or 4 days of just board gamage. Wonderful. I've done it once. I loved it dearly. Hopefully, maybe I can do it again, money and time permitting. But yeah, Frostpunk is perfect Cabin Con fodder because it is sort of thing you set it up in the afternoon and you just play it through with not a care in the world. And without those constraints, then I think it's a glorious 4 to 5 hours worth of entertainment. Lots of scenarios in the book we've not even touched on. We've looked at that. As I say, there's lots of variety in the cards. There's all sorts of other stuff that can add to the mix. So we've not barely touched the size of it. I love the idea of the expeditions. They work really well. Everything is really well designed that the video game does. It really is a fantastic version of it. So yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's very long. It's ridiculous. It's everything that I expected it to be. Personally, for me, it isn't probably going to end up in my collection because it's expensive, and whilst I enjoy and like all of what it's doing, I haven't got the time to invest in it. I would love to sit and play it all the way through and do it a couple of times, and I will happily play it if it comes to the table. I just don't, on my collection, I haven't got room for something like monstrous like that in it. Because I've got TI4 on that, and if I'm going to play a massively large, stupid game, then I'll probably play that. Anyway, there you go. So there's that. Now, speaking of long games, Frosthaven is another one we played. A couple of times now, we've played a couple of games of it. Number one, yes, it's Gloomhaven. It's Gloomhaven 2.0. If you loved Gloomhaven, then this does everything that Gloomhaven did wonderfully, and then an absolute heap of bells and whistles on top. It feels like as smooth as it can get. Just more thematic and all the bells and whistles now. The Gloomhaven kind of was this patchy, kind of a bit rough on the edges, kind of clunky machine with this core card mechanism and this adventure-ish RPG legacy thing that was brilliant. This now takes that and adds all the wealth of experience of previously publishing Gloomhaven, really. It's an ornately huge box with tons of just hidden stuff in it. And it's like this wealth of opportunities when you're playing it. Yeah, we really dig in it. We've played a good couple of games now. We've done a couple of quests. Everything, as I say, is designed around seamlessly making that more of an enjoyable and easy experience. I love the quest overlay cards, the sheets of cards where you tear off and you get stickers underneath and it shows you the quest. It's a really simple, elegant way of tracking that progress that the previous Gloomhaven didn't have. It's great. It's a visual clue of what you've got available to you as well as just the map. The colony phase. So let's go dive into stuff that's new. So aside from component stuff, the actual main new feature to the game is the colony phase. In the previous Gloomhaven, you essentially did the go in, go quests, play the cards, retire characters, and go on this quest chain, and you had events and stuff along the way, but it was all kind of, you had town cards that you pulled and you had road event cards. This is all still in this, but now you get this whole colony phase where when you come back from the adventures, you go for a bunch of stuff. You have an event that happens in the colony. It will, like the normal city events in Gloomhaven, will have something to do with a decision you have to make, usually an A or B option, and one of them may be a good thing, one of them a bad thing. Not necessarily. Sometimes there are differing things on it, but those will give you either supplies or things or hints or even quests or even other stuff. There seems to be a lot more bits coming off of these cards. They're a lot more fascinating in what they do. So that sort of stuff's going on. There's also the possibility that, and this hasn't happened in the games we've been playing yet, but you can get an attack on the colony. Now, the game, as you play, there's a colony tracker. There is every game you essentially play, it represents a week in the campaign, and you make a cross off every week as you cross. There's 10 weeks, I think, in the summer, and then it goes to winter. In the winter stage, then there is more chance of attacks on the colony, and those attacks will damage buildings or other stuff in there, and there's lots of variables as to what guards you've got in the city. You can have guards and barracks and stuff in there. You can build them up. There's morale of the city itself. The higher the morale, the more defense value you get. You can even repair and build walls around it to, again, give you more defense. And that's the kind of route we've taken to a certain extent. We have upgraded the property, but mostly we looked at what do we do to build defense, because we know winter is coming. So the colony phase, as I said, there's one of these colony event cards. There's also then a point where you go through the actual buildings in your colony, and they're in a deck. Slowly you start with 4 or 5 of them. There's like an alchemist, there's like a merchant who can craft items, there's the barracks I spoke about, the armies, there's a workshop where you can build boats and ropes and sleds, I think, which later on, I'm much presuming there will be extra quests open up that you can use those things to do. My personal quest that I picked, and we forgot to give them out in the first game, is the quest that I will eventually retire by completing. It does involve me building sleds and stuff and going on missions relating to them. So that's something down the road to look at. And when a character retires, what they do is they retire, you open an envelope which your personal quest relates to, and you will build a new building or some facility in the town, which is your character's kind of set up shop, and gives you more options. So that'd be interesting to see what they are. So yeah, colony phase, go for the buildings, and they all do stuff. Some allow you to craft stuff, some allow you to do the alchemy by trading in herbs and doing things. There's a build stage where you can actually build more buildings or upgrade the existing ones you've got, and that involves you paying the goods and stuff if you've got the levels. Some of it's related on the prosperity of the town, so only certain ones you can do at the beginning. Others will require stuff, and they will upgrade, and usually an upgraded building would change the card in the building deck in the game, and will give it more facilities or more stuff. It will do more things. We upgraded like the merchant, and that gives you more stuff to craft, better kit, and likewise all the other stuff is going to do similar, and some of these things have story cards linked to them, so you do it, you then find a reference in the reference book and stuff will happen. Then you can upgrade your characters, you can do all the usual stuff that Frosthaven had and all that. So all that's kind of cool. The attacks I mentioned earlier, if they attack the buildings you've got, if they're destroyed or wrecked, then when in the original colony phase they do good things for you. If they're damaged, they're actually going to cost you upkeep and stuff to fix and rebuild, and it's going to cost you resources. So there's an impairment to you. So we haven't had an attack yet. So once we've had one of those and we can see the ramifications of that, we'll go with that. So that's the main kind of really big bit of gameplay that's been bolted on to the actual the original Gloomhaven, this Frosthaven version, and it's kind of an interesting thing of this. It's quite involved at the end of a quest, but it's quite a nice. We always liked the post quest stuff of you shuffle your XP and you spend your money and you blah, 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 upgrade and whatever. Everyone likes that bit, and that's what Gloomhaven originally did very well. And this says more of the same. But yeah, I'd be fascinated to see as we get later into the game and the winter months and stuff happens and attacks on the colony, how that's going to alter things. It'd be interesting. The second quest in, there's a big decision to be made, which is kind of cool. Already feels like you're making changes to the campaign and scenarios and options. And we're playing it, and we're going to probably play it for the next few weeks. Everyone's kind of just getting into finding their class, and this is the other fascinating thing that Gloomhaven had and Frosthaven is doing and doubling down on. The joy of it, and if you've never played it, was this deck of cards that you have where you play 2 cards every round. You top action on one and bottom action on the other. And it was this economy of using those cards, and just slowly they're losing. Every time you do a rest to regain your cards, you have to lose cards, or if you take damage, you may have to bin a card to stop taking more damage. So the slow erosion of these decks of cards is this kind of this Euro-y, kind of quite heady, pink math going on with that, in amongst all this other thematic dungeony stuff. And that card play, and as you upgrade cards and as you slot cards in and out and upgrade them by stickering them and all that, and kind of buffing up your character and going on exploration and leveling your character up, was the golden point. And then you unlock another character, you get this new fascinating new class to try out. So yeah, all of that good stuff is very cool. I think, as I've said earlier, Frosthaven is, if you loved Gloomhaven, then it is absolutely more the same. It is Gloomhaven 2.0. It is doing everything the Gloomhaven did, but just this extra polish and this streamlining of stuff, tweaks to then more thematic. Everything about it is just up, and so far, and there's been no duff notes. Now, yes, it still has the problems that Gloomhaven does. Now, number one, I would play it absolutely, totally, only ever play it with the Helper app, whatever version. There's a free one, which is perfectly fine we're using, because you can just do away with a lot of the filliness of the cards and the monsters and all that sort of shit, because that's just like a massive sort of fiddly bit on top. Some people, I'm sure, enjoy doing that. But if we can streamline that out, it speeds up the gameplay process massively, and that's invaluable in my eyes. So yeah, that's thankfully is still available, that app. Gloom Helper or whatever the fuck, I don't know. Anyway, that, brilliant. It's still got the fiddliness of the map setups and all that sort of stuff. There's no way around that. It's a bit easier, some of it. It seems to have been a bit more thought out at the moment. But once you've kind of got it set up and you're playing it, there's not much else to it. If you can streamline and know what the next quest is you're going to be doing, then you can kind of preset stuff, which is handy. You can kind of speed things along. But yeah, brilliant. So yeah, so far it's gone down really well. Everyone's still trying to find the feel for their characters they've got. I'm playing like almost a paladin kind of class, which is really alien to stuff I normally would play, but I'm enjoying how that's kind of coming together in my head. I'm still kind of grokking how to play it. So there you go. Yeah, Frosthaven. We've only played a couple of games of it. It is everything that we expected and everything we wanted. It is, again, if you've got the group and you've got the time and you've got the investment, which I think if you enjoy what it's doing and start playing it, you're down that road. You've got a year's worth of play in there easily. Gloomhaven, we played it solidly for a year, and I think we still haven't seen everything that had to offer. And, I feel this is much the same. There's a lot of tantalising possibilities. So there we go. That was Frosthaven. What a cracker. There will be more of that, I'm sure, down the road. Other than that, very quickly, the other night we played Tapestry again. I do like Tapestry. It's random, it's crazy, it's off the charts in some ways. I won it ridiculously with over 300 points, just doing a couple of tracks, the arts track and the science track, and I just went, I've not done the science track very much. Every time I play this, I'll do this, and it all just synced up, and it was marvellous. And then we played Res Arcana, which I didn't do so well. Ben actually did really well in that, but I do love Res Arcana in that it's very limit. It sets you a limit of this engine builder, but it's different every time, and you constraints against you of how you make the best of the draft of cards you've got. You've only got 8 cards in total, so you're trying to build an engine out of those 8 cards, and sometimes they're winners and sometimes they're not, but it's fascinating sometimes how you find how there's an engine in there that you didn't originally see. Really enjoy Res Arcana. It's a cracking game. It's one of my nearly always go-to end of evenings if we've got the time to throw it in. It's about an hour's play. Comes out a lot. Got all my value out of that with the expansions. It's a cracking game. It was quite reasonable at one point in time. It's a no-brainer if you've got 3 or 4 of you and you like sort of engine buildery games with a touch of deck building and some other stuff going on. Really good. Tom Lehman, the guy who did Race of the Galaxy, I think. So there you go. There is all of that stuff. Now we'll do some news. Here is the news. News. Well, news. There's not a lot of news, if I'm absolutely honest with you. I've looked on there. It's still early to start the year. I don't think there's a lot of news or stuff that's kind of hitting that's like, ooh, at least not that I've seen. We obviously had a Storm in a dice cup of the old D&D stuff, but other than that, there's not really much going on. So I don't have anything to say about that really. But newsworthy, I think, is that it was my birthday the other week. I've reached the ripe, grand old age of 51. Jesus fucking wept. When did that happen? I had a birthday. Now I had some presents, which is nice. The wife, she does not game, picked me up the Dune Imperium kind of deluxe poshy box version thing. I have Dune Imperium, I have all the expansions, I loved it. This is basically gives you a lot of plastic miniatures and stuff to place all the wooden components, and some nice organizer options, and a big box to fit it all in. It was something that it was just a little bit rich for me in thinking, for what it actually gave me. I was like, I don't know, some crazy banging noise. Don't know what's going on. Anyway, I think it was some backfiring. Sorry, yeah, so this was a big, luxurious, plasticky addition to it. And whilst it looked kind of cool, I personally couldn't justify to myself spending the money on it. However, to receive it as a gift, it's nice, and it's that. So if you like Dune Imperium, what do we get for the money? We get a box, basically, and put it all in. Now, number one, my one big fucking issue with this is you get this box, this lovely box, which everything fits in. The Immortal expansions in it, or everything's sleeved, so you get a little bit at the top there, which fits all the boards in. They all fit in there rather nicely, and then we take a plastic we can take out of there. And as well as the boards, which I've now taken them all out of there, it gives you all these miniatures which buff everything up. So it replaces the meeples that you would put down on the table. It gives you plastic miniatures there for your troops, and replaces the other bits and some of the cardboard tokens and stuff. That is the main thing that you're getting in there, and the storage bits. So yeah, cool. Okay, that's what you're getting. It's pretty much just that tray of stuff and the box. No gripes for me personally. The one big gripe is all of this, and yet they didn't actually supply any instructions in how to support all this and where it should all fit. So you think, what? Because there's not cheap this. You think the one sheet, you could put one fucking sheet in here to say, and this is how we suggest you set all this up. So I had to go and have a route around on the internet to find it, and there's a couple of videos on one, and it seems to work very well. So the rest of it is you get these trays in there of stuff. So you get a little tray there with a little cover on it that holds all the class cards, all the faction cards. There's a removable tray there that sits in there, which sits all those things in, all your water and your spice and your monies. So that's quite nice. You can pull that out, put it on the table. You get a tray here, which it's got nice slots actually for each of the individual starting decks. And then pretty much the rest of this is all the stuff that you don't really need goes in here. All the old wooden stuff that's been replaced, but it's there if you need it. And I've put up here some of the tokens for the Harkonnen character and all that. And this has all got like a kind of etched illustration of like a galactic seal or something, I think, is on there, which all is visible once you put it all together as an aesthetic thing. And the final thing there is you basically get a thing for holding all the cards. So I've got it's not split as well as I'd like, but pretty much all the cards are in there. They're all sleeved, and they're easy enough to pull out and split. Then in there is the smaller cards and the tiles for the tech upgrade. That is pretty much it. That's what you get in there. I've not played it yet, actually, so I don't know how it's all going to feel thematically with this new this new plasticky bits, if it's going to be vastly increase my enjoyment of the game or not. But it's as a nice organisational thing. It all looks kind of posh. I mean, it does what you want. So yeah, I've yet to play it, as I say, with these new bling. So we will see if that enhances the gameplay in any vast way. It looks nice. I mean, it's swish. It's lovely. I'm very happy to have that. But would I justify the buying of it for the price it is? Possibly not. I don't think so. I don't think I could justify it. I play a game of it and we'll see if it if it's something thematically makes it all fucking brilliant. I think it's just going to enhance it and make it just look a bit cooler. But yeah, I don't think I can justify requesting anyone pick that up. But if you've got the spare cash or a birthday coming and you're a huge fan of Dune Imperium, then there might be something you might want to contemplate because it looks nice. It's kind of cool. I'm not a big organisation thing person, but when it's done well, Speaking of Reza Khanna earlier, brilliant insert in there, straight out of the box. Fantastic. One of the rare ones that's kept, and it's fantastic. But that, yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, just going to get around and playing it again now soon. I love a bit of Juniper. The other thing I got, son number one picked me up and got me this, which is Batman The Dark Knight Returns board game. Now, I'd seen this come on Kickstarter. It was extortionate. I would have very much loved it because The Dark Knight Returns is a comic book from my youth that I absolutely adored. I loved Frank Miller's art in it, the aesthetics of it, the story of it. At its time in the 80s when it came out, it was defined a generation of comics. And Miller's politics and his comics in later years have, should we say, gone into the realms of dubious, and he may have lost the plot. But at the height of his powers, when he was at his most talented and his most kind of pushing boundaries, the man was unstoppable. And I have very much fond memories of this version of Batman, this idea of what Batman had retired and then came back from retirement many years later. It's a story now was beaten to death. It's been kind of reinterpreted in the movies multiple times now. We had Batman v Superman for Snyder, who's obviously obsessed with it, which kind of is almost that retelling of this as such, and it's turned up a few other times. If you're going to watch it, there is an animated version of The Dark Knight Returns, which is really good, actually. Peter Weller does Batman. It's a shame that the dearly departed Kevin Conroy couldn't have done it, but Weller's version is pretty cool, and it looks really good. It looks as good as the comics in some ways. They've done a really good job. It's a big old animated movie. There's 2 discs of it, I think. I strongly recommend that. Anyway, so Batman Dark Knight Returns, comic book I adore. The idea is that, as I say, Batman comes out of retirement and is beating the shit out of his own foes, and the world has changed, and there's political ramifications, Superman, and lots of cool stuff. It's a very, if you've read the comics or seen even any of those movies, it's the gist of it. Cool. So there's 2 versions of this. There's a normal version and the deluxe edition, and I have got the deluxe edition. As I said, it was again one of those things that I would have loved. I love the idea of it. Can't really justify it, but son number one has done himself proud and picked this up for me. God bless him. I mean, this is a huge choice. So, for our deluxe edition, what we essentially get, that the other version doesn't get, is, well, this, basically, which is miniatures for all the characters in the game. And they've got the big, gnarly Frank Miller Batman in there, and all the characters, very cool. It kind of aesthetically, again, is a nice thing. The rest of it, as far as I'm aware, is pretty much the same in the non-deluxe version. You have ridiculous sized rule book. It's gorgeous, I'm sure, and they think it's, you know, it's a big nice posh, and it's got Miller's art all over it, and it looks cool and all that, but this is very unwieldy. This is very stupid. So the game plays, it's a bit of a legacy-ish feel in that you have this first rule book. It gives you the main rules and the first scenario of the story, but you can play the whole thing through in a campaign of the 4 books that represent the 4 books of the comic, and there's rule sheets for each of these and stuff, and things will alter and change as you go through the story, and it's done in such a way you're running a gauntlet like the original story is, that you start powerful and you kind of get worn down as you go through the campaign. I've heard some things that it's easy, others not. I've not played it yet. Maybe tonight, because Early Doors is out. So I might do. I've got this. I don't know what this envelope's for. No idea. Because it's too small to fit the rule books in, and I've yet to find anything else in the box that would be worth putting into that. So mystified by the big cardboard envelope. If anyone knows for that, or if it should have had something in it that it didn't, inquiring minds would like to know. Maybe as I play the game, it might come up with something that makes sense as to why that's there. There's the board. Waffers off. So yeah, board shows Gotham City. It's okay. This is Baxter. Shush. So yeah, well, there you go. I mean, it's okay board. It's not the most riveting bit of boardage, but I'll see how that plays in the game. And then we get in here is lots of decks of cards, certain decks relating to certain stories. Each of the books has a different deck of cards. You play with that and some other stuff. That's all I know. Lots of dice. Dice is good. Dog is barking still. Some bat dice. These are all in the standard version as well. Some counters and stuff. If I had a critique, cards are a bit thin, but they've got lots of Miller's art all over them, which is always kind of cool. I'm going to have to go and see what the dog's losing shit about. Hold that thought. two teenagers, well, not even teenagers, one teenager and a mild adult in the house, and none of them can fucking answer the door to the delivery from Amazon that they fucking ordered. Sorry. Anyway, yes, big board. We did the books. Anyway, kind of. So yeah, there's a deck of cards for everything, for the scenarios. There's reference cards for the scenarios. There's cardboard chits are included in this that you would get in the normal games. This pretty much gives you everything, the non-deluxe version with the miniatures. But yeah, you get a deck of cards for each of the quests you're going on. Kind of flimsy. They're not great considering the price on this is quite expensive. And a bunch of cardboard chits. Again, everything about it, I mean, it's cool. There's a lot of the art, and I can see probably they pay for the license and stuff, and God knows what that goes for. And there's kind of cool way of organisation in here. The components, none of it, other than the miniatures, are really cool. None of it feels, some of it feels kind of quite cool, like the dice, the bat dice and stuff. And then some of the other components feel a bit cheap. So, yeah, I don't know. Weird choice, I guess. That should probably not go there. That should go in there, or that's all going to fall out. But yeah, if anyone actually knows what that is fucking for, I'd be interested to know. We'll see. But I'm going to play it anyway, so maybe all will be all will be revealed. But there you go. That was very cool. Son number one. Thank you very much for that. That is actually pretty fucking sweet. And if you've never read The Dark Knight Returns, I would strongly suggest. It's a bit old now, 80s, but it still stands up very well. You cannot do far wrong than that. And I will report back once I've played that as to how that is. It is a solo game, essentially. It can be played two-player, apparently, mainly solo, which is another reason why, whilst I loved the aesthetic quality of it and what it is doing, and even just to have it was kind of the cool thing, couldn't really justify it. But thank you, Spawn of me, for that. Good choice. Allegedly, son number two has also invested in something into me. It's in the post. I'm not too sure what it is. But apparently, allegedly, is a game. We shall see if it ever turns up and what it is. Well, yeah, we shall see. I'll let you know. But there you go. That was my birthday stuff. They very cool. Really much greatly received. Can't wait to play that. Can't wait to play that. Cool, and thank you for all the birthday wishes that came from all internet and sundry. Very nice. Thank you all again for that. And if you got a birthday coming up, well, happy birthday to you too. But yeah, all right with that. News of that done. That's news. There was no news. Other than that, what else has been going on there? I watched the end of Wednesday from one corner of one eye, as I'd kind of lost interest with it. It was very much played out exactly how I'd foretold it was going to play out to Owen Dawes about 4 episodes previously, and it pretty much did do that. I found it was starting really well, looked kind of cool, and kind of, yeah, young adult. It was all right, but personally, yeah. What I have watched is fucking astounding. Is The Last of Us, based on the video game. Neil Druckmann, who's actually executive producer and directed some of this new show. Last of Us it's a great game. The original one, I loved it. It's a post-apocalyptic world of kind of the zombie thing, but it's not. These creatures are now been infected by the cordyceps. It's a fungus, and they've over 20 years of this apocalypse has happened, and you're in this kind of post-apocalyptic world of Ellie, who is she's immune to this disease fungus thing, and Joel, who's this grudging savior. He's got to take her across this apocalyptic landscape, having lost his child at the start of the game and the show. And that's kind of how the game plays out, and it was fascinating and kind of groundbreaking to the point where it had this relationship between these two characters interspersed with this kind of shooty pew pew stuff going on. But yeah, I really enjoyed The Last of Us. It was really well done. I thought it was excellently done. The TV show, I think, aesthetically absolutely fucking nails it. The stuff from the games, it looks like the games. They clearly spent a fucking fortune on it, especially episode 2. Has got an entire sequence, and the episode is directed by Neil Druckmann, who did the video game series. There is a sequence in episode 2, or sequences in it, which are lifted directly from the game, and really well done. It looks like it is shot. It's brilliant. So yeah, if you've played the games, and you can sit and just enjoy this kind of interesting new take on the narrative. It does do some differences to the basic one. It does do different things, but essentially it's the same story. But it's really fucking good. Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian, and various other stuff. He's Joel. He's fucking brilliant. He's so fucking good. Oh gosh, I've forgotten the name of the actress who plays Ellie. Brilliant as well. Absolutely brilliant in the post. And yeah, everyone else is really supporting. God, Everett's just brilliant. Bella Ramsey, I want to say, I think is the name. But yeah, strongly recommended. It is, for me, 2023 so far. If this sticks with the quality of what we're seeing so far, this is going to be the show of the year for me. Which is a bold statement to be making, but yeah, I really loved Andor from last year. It was one of the highlights. This so far is setting a very high benchmark. If you love the games, I can't see how you wouldn't adore what the show's doing. If you've never played the games, I think if you've any interest in post-apocalyptic zombie shit, then it will be totally up your alley, I'm sure. But yeah, really fucking enjoying that. There's a bunch of other stuff. I started watching The Bear on Disney. That's really good as well, but fuck me, it's a bit full on. It's about a New York restaurant, kind of like a burger bar, and a chef coming. It's a family drama type thing, but it's tense, really fucking tense. Every episode is like fucking pushing it. It's funny, but really recommend that for the 3 or 4 episodes I've watched of that so far. And I think there's other stuff there, but nothing is jumping out at me. They're the things I've kind of glanced at over the last week or so. So there you go. That is this Mumbo Jumbo for this week. There's an abundance of stuff. I think we could agree on that one. Next issue, looking at Batman, I'm as comic says. Next time round, I'm sure there'll be more Frosthaven will be discussed. I don't know what else. Who knows? If I can get this played, I'll give a full report on that. And we get Dune Imperium played. I'll tell you how that works out. But Frosthaven will definitely be in just our futures. But yeah, look after yourselves. It's lovely to catch up. Stay safe out there, and all the usual stuff. I've been Mike B. This has been Who Dares Rolls, and that's us done for the time being for another week, fortnight, however this all works out. Hopefully the memory card's working, or I'm going to fucking swear a lot and be very angry. Be safer there. Look after yourselves. Play games, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.